Et voilà, salut à tous. Donc, on se retrouve sur Lamplight City. Avant de commencer la découverte du jeu, je remercie le studio qui me permet de le présenter. Et donc, voilà, Lamplight City, ça va être un point and click, tout ce qu'il y a de plus classique. En revanche, il n'est qu'en anglais. Donc, on va se faire une petite séquence. On va profiter de la présence du neurone de Cars, de celui d'Anishan et de celui de THX pour essayer d'avancer un peu. Nuit difficile. Ou réveille-toi. Bill, réveille-toi. Le chariot est
Bill,
en
wake
feu.
up! The carriage is on fire!
That's only funny when I do it to you.
C'est
What's the
seulement drôle
matter?
quand c'est moi
Have
qui
a
le
rough
fais.
night?
Bit too much Bollingworth ale is all. That stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide can even join us. It's been ages since she last drank me under the table.
Afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
Miles, what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
Ok. Alors, tu dors dans les réunions. Captain Snelling va finir par te griller un de ces jours.
Honestly, Bill, one of these days Snelling's gonna notice.
No, he won't. Why do you think they put him behind a desk? The man couldn't find his own backside with a pair of pliers and a lantern.
Very funny. Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hanbrook Flower Shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
Well, the devil's gonna be disappointed that his winnings are so meager. Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill. Thank you. Keep the change.
And so, our night of excitement begins.
You, more than anyone else, should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight will be the exception. Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on.
Même pas merci le cocher, hein, c'est clair. Alors, donc voilà, on va commencer notre aventure ici.
That reminds me. I should pick up a bouquet for Addie when we're done here.
Bon, très
Seems
classique,
like
hein,
you've
point
been
and
spending more
click,
time with me than with her lately.
on a
I sure
l'habitude.
hope she's not the jealous type.
I can't believe that thing made it all the way across the Atlantic in less than a week.
Don't scoff at the future, Miles. Pretty soon, we'll all be riding those things to work.
Especially considering Prince Harold is their big celebrity passenger. Glad this thing is lit. This isn't really the type of place I'd prefer to be at this time of night.
Don't worry, Miles. I've got your back.
Looks like they've had some trouble with vandalism.
Pretty much every business in this part of town has.
Ok.
Certainly looks cozy in there.
Plants have a nice way of doing that.
Come on, Bill.
Charming little place, isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Always so to the point, Fordham. If ever there was a better time to stop and smell the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies, hardly.
Ok.
Not too many left. Seems business isn't so bad around here.
Well, you know what they say. There are only three certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
These prices are pretty reasonable. The place I go in Worcester's clearly robbing me blind.
If you think those are bad, don't go near the flower shops in Lyon.
This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a whiff, Bill.
Sure, if you don't mind me getting snot all over your coat.
Oh, no, not the Myers case all over again. On second thought, you can just stay over there. This is quite the selection. Come over here and take a whiff.
Sure.
Oh, no, not the... On second thought...
Be right there. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
I have no need myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Eh, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
I'm afraid we're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
I see. I'm Cecilia Handbrook, and this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times. But considering the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Handbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
Alors, donc voilà, plusieurs fois, des gens ont appelé anonymement la police en disant qu'il y avait des vols chez elle. On va l'interroger là-dessus.
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen. Then 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
Go on.
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter. That's exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual.
Alors, est-ce qu'on peut voir... non, on peut pas voir les trucs.
Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Detective Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting a suspicious character. And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
It won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
So this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it to the police.
And the other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
You mentioned your assistant has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though. Where might I find him?
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here then, if that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
Ok, ok. Alors, direction fenêtre.
The window latch, securely locked. This provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground. A rather distinguished-looking gentleman.
Reminds me of Captain Snelling, if he ever smiled.
I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though, and judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Hanbrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Salut à toi Kaiser, bienvenue sur le live. Et ouais, merci à Carzon qui a gift.
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
Je sais pas si on doit déjà chercher à résoudre des trucs ou si vraiment on fait juste de l'inspection là pour l'instant.
I don't think this window would serve as a viable means of entry.
It's a nice view, though. You can hardly see the vomit and manure piles on the street from up here.
Ok, ok. Un
Pastoral
tableau.
landscape. Definitely nowhere near here.
I've never much understood art, but it would be nice to see a place like that in person.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication.
On va peut-être essayer de... Ah, attendez. Save load casebook. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on a ici? Current case, honor among thieves. Donc le Hanbrook Flower Shop a été vandalisé. Enfin, quelqu'un a volé. On doit trouver un point d'entrée à l'étage. Et wait for Trevor Hastings and speak to him. Ok. Bah, le point d'entrée à l'étage. On peut pas y retoucher au truc.
The window latch, securely locked. Lamplight City, in all her glory.
Non.
This provides a means of escape from the top. Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
Ok. On peut s'en aller. Donc on doit trouver un outil.
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
On va chercher en bas. Ici je vois pas trop. Hotspot icon, gna.
I have a few more questions for you, Mrs. Hambrook.
Very well, Detective. if it will help you conclude your investigation faster.
Alors, la fenêtre de l'étage.
Mrs. Hanbrook, were you aware that there's a gap in the frame of the small upstairs window?
Is there? I only go up there to check that the window is locked. I've never noticed a gap. Are you suggesting that's how the burglar is entering the store?
It's a distinct possibility, but I have yet to figure out exactly how.
Well, I trust you'll come to a satisfactory conclusion, Detective.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Bon, donc, il faut qu'on trouve un objet pour... probablement les tiges en
This
métal. Là.
hook is exactly what I need. Mrs. Hanbrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes, I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
Il y a une ambiance très Indiana Jones.
Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop. Rather dark out here.
Watch your step then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill?
Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire là? Je peux faire un clic gauche et il se passe ça, mais... Ah, oui, d'accord. Il fallait laisser cliquer.
Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Bon, donc...
Ah, Trevor.
Evening, Cecilia. I've got the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Legere. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long. As much as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill, would you mind?
Ah, the glamour of police work.
Now, Mr. Hastings, if I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
Allez, les vols.
What can you tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman. But sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs taken care of, and we can't do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to. Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of affairs when even burglars don't do their jobs correctly.
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
Now, I never said that, Detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said, it's a real mystery.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course, there's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascon around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long in the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do. Not enough people these days seem to respect that.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
Appreciate it, Detective. If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
I've heard of honor among thieves, but have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves. You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting. Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once this case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or 4.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hanbrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
Any thoughts on Mrs. Hanbrook's assistant, Trevor?
Yes, I feel sorry for him.
Why? He seems to enjoy his work.
Nah, it's not that. He's obviously smitten with Mrs. Hanbrook, but she won't give him the time of day.
What? You only saw him for a few moments. How in the ether did you get that impression?
The way he looked at her, the way he spoke when he confessed to contacting the police. Shall I go on?
No, that's fine. I see what you mean.
Really, Miles? You'd be surprised what you can learn from people if you just look at them.
Why bother doing that when I've got you to do it for me? Right. Based on what we've been told in our experiment, I can only conclude that our burglar is using the upstairs window to get into the shop.
So what do you propose we do about it?
It's happened repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, on one of the delivery nights. Since it has yet to occur this week, and today is Friday, logic dictates it should be tonight.
So we settle in and wait to see if the burglar returns? Catch him in the act?
Exactly. It's our best chance of solving this before the trail goes cold.
And I was really looking forward to getting that drink at the Angel tonight, too.
I know, but it's as you said yourself. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Besides, forbearance is good for the soul.
Spoken like someone who truly has no idea how to have any fun.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days, especially with your expert tutelage.
Okay, let's go have a chat with Mrs. Hambrook. I'm sure she'll be delighted to know we're spending the night.
Ok.
Damn, I forgot to bring my deck of cards again.
At least it's quiet up here. I'm surprised we didn't go deaf after the last time we did this.
What?
I said... Oh, right. Your sense of humor remains on point.
Miles, have you ever considered leaving all this behind?
What, you mean quitting the Force?
The Force, the city, going off and seeing what else is out there, you know?
I'd miss it too much. Wouldn't you?
I was thinking I might visit Harley out west. She makes it sound like a dream in her letters. Wide open spaces, fresh air. I know I'm a city boy and would probably miss New Britannia's filth and squalor after a week, but...
You should do it. A change of scenery never hurt anyone. Plus, it's much easier for you than it is for me. I've got a family to consider, after all.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Bill. It's just...
Shh! I think I heard something. Oh, no!
Bill? Stop! Police!
Damn it! He's got up the fire escape. We can corner him on the roof. Stay close and keep me covered.
Bill!
Stay back, officer. I've got a knife. Ready your pistol for him.
But you're too close!
I trust you, Miles. Your pistol, now! There's really no need for this, officer. I respect your desire to uphold justice. Mine is more important. If you let me go, I won't come back. And we can all forget this ever happened. Don't listen to this lunatic, Miles. Take your shot before things get worse.
Alors, hein, est-ce qu'on tente de raisonner ou est-ce qu'on tente de tirer? On a envie de tirer tous.
No!
Échec.
Bill! Oh, God! I am so sorry, my friend. I am so sorry.
Bon, si on a des collègues qui visent pas bien aussi. Hein.
Miles, wake up! Your house is on fire!
Huh? What?
You see, I told you it was funnier when I did it to you.
Yes. Hilarious.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Overdid it on the soporific. Why do I feel like I've had this conversation before?
I'm just glad you're in the mood to converse again. Seriously, you took so much of that snake oil last night, I was starting to think you wanted me quiet for good.
Je fais ce que je veux.
That was the idea.
Come now, you don't really mean that.
Believe me, I do.
I know it's not easy, but there's really no need.
Not easy. Bill, I've been hearing your voice since you died. You don't shut up unless I take that accursed medicine. I'd say that qualifies as a bit more than not easy.
Yeah, well, how do you think I feel? You think I enjoy being trapped here, listening to you whine about how hard your life's become? You at least still have yours.
Et salut à toi, Ek, merci d'être passé. Alors, pourquoi tu peux pas juste me laisser tranquille? Hein?
If you're just as miserable, why don't you just go away and leave me in peace?
Believe me, I wish I knew how. But the bottom fact is, you're stuck with me. So you can either keep living this way and ruin your life even more than you already have, or you can do as I've told you and try to figure out a way to let me move on.
Ouais, je sais, trouver le voleur du magasin de fleurs.
For the 1000th time, you want me to find the burglar from the flower shop.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't get how that's going to help.
I can understand your confusion, considering it was you who killed me. But the point remains. You wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if not for him. Once the criminal has been caught and is in custody, we'll both get what we want.
A decent night's sleep?
More than that, you'll have that elusive thing you always wanted to give others. Closure.
you do realize the trail's pretty much frozen at this point. Our man has seemingly vanished into the ether.
That's no excuse not to keep trying. I know the cases Upton's been giving you these past few months haven't been the most thrilling, but they've at least kept you active. So just keep at it. Something has to turn up eventually. Unless, of course, you want to wind up in Riverview Asylum. And if that happens, I'm really not going to keep quiet.
Fine.
Good man. Now, I suggest you stop talking to thin air, or Adelaide's gonna start wondering if you've gone mental. Or just maybe she'll stop wondering.
Very funny.
Don't worry, Miles. I don't watch when you and Adelaide are having your private time.
It would be nice if you didn't spend the whole time humming.
I thought you appreciated some romantic music. Remember before you started taking that medicine and you could actually read a book for more than 10 minutes before falling asleep? You were a lot more fun to talk to back then. I'm certain a permanent indentation in the shape of your rear is starting to form on that thing. Wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind. Pretty, but I'm glad I don't have a sense of smell anymore. You should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point. Adelaide's last performance. She could really bring the house down. It's admirable just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you. Miles, care to explain what you're doing?
Just checking to make sure everything that needs to be in here still is.
Right. If you start taking that stuff during the day, you're really going to have problems. I always liked that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room. Cozy little winter getaway. That would be a welcome change from the winters in this city. Adelaide's mother certainly enjoyed pressing flowers. Do you suppose she does more of it now that she's retired?
Well, look who's awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
You were talking in your sleep again.
Did I say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How are you feeling?
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
L'ambiance est vraiment très très chouette. Hein. Bon, même si... ok.
I can see why Adelaide calls that plant Miles Jr. It's a spitting image. How are your parents doing these days? It's been ages since you wrote them. Didn't I give you that clock as a wedding present? Too bad it stopped working. You remember how much time Adelaide had to spend convincing you to sit for this? At least these days, with ferrotype tech advancing the way it is, these portraits can be done in just a matter of minutes. I always liked that painting. It's impossible to see that kind of scenery here in the city. It might do you some good to look in the mirror a bit more often, Miles. That makes me wonder what old Mrs. Handbrook is up to these days. Adelaide's father certainly had an amazing life. Imagine being the personal barber to the Prime Minister and his family. The gossip and secrets he must have heard. Your book collection has always astonished me. Heaven help you if you ever decide to move. Your book collection is... Building those model ships was a good way to pass the time between cases. Hopefully it'll be a while before you get enough time to build another one. It's been so long since you used that desk. Did you even notice when Adelaide got rid of the chair? Bollingworth Ale, my favorite. And a nice souvenir from the Angel. You really ought to go back there someday. I'd love to see the look on Snelling's face if he ever found out you kept your old truncheon. Ah, the Havisham case. Our first time out as partners. First in a long line of successful cases. It's nice to have a memory of the good old days. Where are you going? You don't have anywhere to be just yet. Ha, that poster brings back some memories. That's from around the time you two met, isn't it?
Yes, back when Addie was singing at the Angel.
Alors, pour l'instant, on n'a rien à faire.
Addie,
Yes, dear?
how's work going? Do you have any appointments today?
Yes, one this evening. It's been a bit slow lately, but pretty soon it'll be debutante ball season, and all the Gascon grand dames will need their hair done. You sure I can't convince you to let me give you a little trim? You've been looking awfully scruffy lately.
What's the point? I've got no need to go peacocking around town. You're the only girl for me.
I like it when you're clean cut. It brings out your eyes.
The way my eyes have been looking lately, I think it's best to keep them hidden. How are you? It feels as though we haven't seen much of each other these past few days.
I've been fine.
Addie, you're not a very good liar. What's on your mind?
I'm worried about you, Miles.
I know, but I've told you, there's no need to worry about me. I'm all right.
You're not all right, Miles. I may not be a good liar, but you can't fool me either.
I am all right. What do I have to do to convince you of that?
You could start by throwing out that sleeping medicine. It's turned you into a different person.
I needed to sleep, Addie. I'll become an even worse person without it, believe me.
I know Bill's death was hard for you. It was hard for all of us. But whatever it is that's bothering you, you know you can talk to me about it. That's what I'm here for.
I know, my love. Your support means the world to me. I need some time to deal with things. That's all. It won't always be like this, I promise.
Making promises you can't keep, eh, Miles? That'll end well.
I've still got that song you sang last week at the Rutherford stuck in my head. You were amazing.
Thank you, Miles. That was a lovely evening. I always enjoy it when Joseph brings out his violin and we can relive the old days.
Certainly nicer than when he spends hours telling the exact same story whenever you visit.
They were very glad to see you, you know.
It's probably the most fun I've had in months, to be honest.
They've invited us for dinner again in a couple of weeks, if you're feeling up to it.
I hope I am. What's that you're reading?
It's a collection of short stories by James Penstroke. It was just published earlier this month.
Any good?
Oh yes, I love his work. He's been publishing a new serial in Brentwell magazine. I can't wait to read it. Perhaps we both can together? I think you'd enjoy him.
Lately, I haven't been able to concentrate on a page for more than 5 minutes without nodding off.
That is a pity.
I'll let you get back to your book.
Alors, une grosse affaire.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the Ruin Coffee House. That can't be right.
It's not like Constance to make mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then.
Donc on est parti au café.
I'll see you later, Addie.
Goodbye, dear. Love you.
Love you too.
Est-ce qu'on peut voir... non, on peut pas se déplacer sur la carte.
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but there's no better place to overhear all the rumors and gossip in town. Just make sure you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte. Best avoid that one. He looks like he might tip over at any moment. Reminds me of when I was alive. Ah, good times. He and his friend are having quite the conversation. I bet it's really boring. He's missing his left arm below the elbow. How do you suppose that happened? Not in much of a hurry to clean up in here, are they? Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. Absolutely guaranteed to restore vitality, youth, and vigor or your money back. For use by men only. These things seem to have had a spike in popularity recently. Self-Portrait as a Desperate Man by B. Calvert. A bit like looking in the mirror, isn't it, Miles? A young woman holding a guitar. Completely the wrong way, I might add.
If it isn't my old friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How did you get them to let you in here?
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice. Don't order anything that isn't water.
Alors, j'ai eu ton message, qu'est-ce qui se passe?
I got your message. What's going on?
It's time for you to join the big boys again, Fordham. Your days of finding lost cats are over.
So stop teasing me and tell me what it is already.
Do you know Madame Laura Dupré?
Laura Dupré, ce nom semble familier. Non, je peux pas dire que ce nom
Can't say the name rings any bells.
me dise
I'm not
quelque chose.
surprised. She's one of the Gascon Grand Dames. Doesn't really run in our kind of social circles.
Ah, right.
Madame Dupré died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
My condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
She wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse. Dupre's son Andrew was quick to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupré. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
Alors, pourquoi ne pas simplement lui demander?
Why not just ask Madame Dupré herself?
She hasn't spoken since the ordeal. Apparently, she's been catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street Jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupré home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Ouais, j'ai quelques
Yes,
questions.
actually, I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
Alors, à propos de,
How are
à
things
propos
going with
d'elle,
you?
pardon.
Work is hectic as usual, and I'm spending my day off in here. But considering my home life is still a shambles, maybe this is the best place to be.
I'm truly sorry about that.
Don't be ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd still be chained to that philandering bastard. It hasn't been easy, but I'm much better off this way. Trust me. Anyway, work gives me something to focus on. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, and I'm grateful to you for getting me these case leads. I know you're taking a risk to do it.
It's the least I can do. How about you? How's Adelaide?
She's fine, although things between us could be improved, if I'm being honest. The less said about it right now, the better, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. You can talk to me about it if you need to, although I'm probably not the best person to ask for relationship advice.
Alors, la mort de Bill.
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder.
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course, there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first and foremost.
But the man who really caused Bill's death is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know. I'll do the same if I find anything out.
See, she has a priority straight. You could learn a lot from Upton.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
What do you know about Madame Dupre?
Only what I've read about her in the paper. She's been married thrice, which I can empathize with, and she's extremely rich, which I can't.
What makes you think this Martin fellow is innocent?
The fact that the only evidence is the word of Dupre's son. I've seen this sort of thing thousands of times, and I'm sure you did too. They're just looking for a scapegoat. You're the only person I know who can put it right.
Upton's intentions are noble, but she has to realize this is just a drop in the ocean.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay,
That's it, I think.
then you'd better get back to it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion.
Et voilà, donc là-dessus, nous, on va s'arrêter pour cette découverte de Lamplight City, pardon. En souhaitant que ça vous ait plu. Sincèrement, je trouve l'ambiance plutôt excellente. Voilà. Pour un point and click, je pense que tout y est. Donc voilà, là-dessus, encore une fois, je remercie le studio qui me permet de vous présenter le jeu. Merci à ceux qui sont passés en live pour suivre cette vidéo découverte. Et puis on se retrouve pour de nouvelles aventures tout bientôt. À tout de suite.